What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here, and in this video I'm going to be going over the god rolls on the new Solstice weapons that we can get starting today in the Solstice event this summer. So there's actually some pretty good rolls on these weapons, so I wanted to showcase them, and on all my videos I do get questions asking what this website is. It is called d2foundry.gg, so if you want to go there and look at it yourself and craft your own god rolls, then that is the website. And shout out to them for this awesome website because I love using it to figure out what weapons and rolls I want to chase. So anyways, into the video, we're going to start with the something new hand cannon. This is a returning weapon, but it's got some really good new perks. It's an aggressive frame, so it's a 120 RPM, which I don't love in PvE, but it does have some nice PvE rolls. So I have rapid hit and headstone on an IS Luna, which I really love, but for me, I prefer 140s in PvE, so I'm just going to stick with mine. But demo headstone is very appealing to me because I love grenade-based builds, and then headstone is really good on stasis because making a crystal works with a lot of different fragments. So yeah, that's a nice roll to chase, and if I got that roll, I'd be very happy. Wellspring is really good, especially with prismatic, because yeah, we can just have so many ability-based builds. So Wellspring's always a good pick in PvE, as is Frenzy. It's one of my favorite perks. And then Explosive Payload is also very good. So Demo Explosive Payload could be really, really strong as well. So yeah, some actual good rolls worth chasing on this one. As for PvP, Precision Instrument can only roll on Igneous Hammer for a 120. And it doesn't lower your TTK, but it does give more forgiveness. And it helps you deal more damage at a greater range because it ramps up the damage. So that's a perk PvP players will probably want to go after. Snapshot Sights is really nice on 120s because look, 30 handling, so it makes them feel really good. To the Pain, I haven't messed much with, in all honesty, so I can't speak to it. But yeah, overall, some pretty good perks on the hand cannon. Next, we have the Void Bow. And there's the Under Your Skin from like way back in Witch Queen, I think it came out. It was one of the first craftable bows. And then there's Lethophobia from like last season, Season of the Wish. And I really like those bows, and I think they're both precision, which I prefer, where this one is a lightweight. But lightweights do feel better. They got a buff a little while ago, and they're feeling pretty good. And this can roll with the classic Void traits of Repulsor Brace and Destabilizing Rounds, which is quite good this season. And then you can get loose change destabilizing rounds, which I actually have on Elsie's rifle, and it's low-key really good because if you don't know, loose change, applying an elemental debuff to a target increases the reload speed, aim assist, and movement while aiming down sights for a short duration. So you get better reload speed, which is nice on a bow because it just increases or decreases the TTK basically. It helps you shoot it quicker. And like I said, I like it on Elsie's rifle, and then with destabilizing rounds, you'd pretty much be making things volatile all the time. So this is a low-key good roll. And then you have Successful Warm-Up, which I really like, but you can get that on Under Your Skin, so I just prefer it on that. That's what I have it crafted with. But again, not everyone has access to that. So if you don't have that weapon, then Successful Warm-Up's really nice. Hipfire Grip Archer's Gambit is another kind of like wombo combo roll if you like hip-firing your bows. Precision Instrument for more damage. Kill Clip, I believe, only ever rolled on the Trials of Osiris bow. So that's quite interesting, though I still don't think it'd be able to one-shot in PvP, especially on a lightweight, but it's interesting nonetheless. And even in PvE, every time you get a kill, you're going to be proccing kill clip, so you're going to be getting a 25% damage increase pretty much all the time, which can be the difference between like 1 and 2-shotting red bar enemies in GM content, so that could be quite strong. I really like Enlightened Action. It basically works just like Archer's Tempo almost, except Archer's Tempo requires precision hits, where Enlightened Action just requires you deal damage. So both of those are actually good. Air Trigger I don't really like on a bow, but it does give a nice reload speed multiplier. So yeah, honestly, a lot of good rolls on this bow as well. Golden Tricorn could roll on Lethophobia, but again, if you didn't play like before Final Shape and you don't have access to that from Season of the Wish, then Golden Tricorn is really good in ability-based builds. So yeah, honestly, a lot of good perk combinations, especially if you don't already have a good Void bow. Next is Compass Rose, and this thing has definitely had a bit of a glow up in PvP. So let's start with that, because you can get Threat Detector and Opening Shot, and they've pretty much done away with Quick Draw on shotguns, it seems. But there is one in the Fractithist which could roll a Quick Draw Opening Shot, and I have that roll, and it's very, very strong. So Threat Detector is kind of like a poor man's version of of Quick Draw, and it's pretty good. Slide Shot Opening Shot is also very nice. I like shotguns with Slide Shot. My OG Dust Rock Blues had Slide Shot, and it's really, really good. Slick Draw is low-key really, really good on a shotgun, because as you can see, it takes your handling to 100. It does decrease target acquisition, but not a huge deal on a shotgun. I actually farmed a Slick Draw Vorpal roll on, I can't think of the name of it, but the Kinetic Iron Banner shotgun. And with Vorpal, this can also get Vorpal. So that's actually pretty good for PvE, especially in pellet shotgun damage rotations. If you're like swapping between 2 pellet shotguns, now you could pair this with that Iron Banner shotgun, and you could just swap back and forth really quickly, dealing lots of damage because of Vorpal Weapon, which is a 15% damage increase to bosses. Trench Barrel is also really nice. I have the 7th Seraph CQC with auto-loading Trench Barrel, and I still have hung on to that. That gun is like 3 years old, and it's still really, really strong. So yeah, you could go like dual loader Trench Barrel for a nice PvE roll, or 1-2 punch. If you don't have a good 1-2 punch shotgun, then Grave Robber 1-2 punch. I have that roll on a Void shotgun, and it's extremely good, and it's pretty much my go-to for all my 1-2 punch builds, because you never have to reload it, because Grave Robber is always just reloading it. So yeah, some really, really good perks. Incandescent is a strong perk, but I don't really like it for shotguns. Barrel Constrictor, jury's still out on that. Yeah, it might be strong, but it requires a kill to activate. Threat Remover, I don't really like. It's kind of like a worse version of Threat Detector, because you, again, have to deal damage first. So in something like PvP, not ideal. But yeah, like I said, some really good perks. And even Threat Detector Snapshot, obviously you want Opening Shot, but that would make it feel really, really snappy, which is nice on shotguns in PvP. So yeah, some pretty good perks. And I guess I didn't talk about the origin trait, but Dreamwork is once per reload, assists or assisted final blows partially refill this weapon from reserves and increase reload speed for a short duration. Bows receive faster draw time. So nothing crazy there, honestly. It used to have this weird interaction, and you could like overflow things like Fourth Horseman and deal insane damage, but that got patched. So yeah, it's nothing too special in my opinion. And then we've got the Crowning Duologue. It's a Strand precision frame rocket launcher. So a lot of people don't like precision frames because they do deal the least damage out of all the rocket archetypes, but they did get a buff to their reserves. So what they lack in punching power, they do make up for in total damage because they do have good reserves. So they're strong utility weapons, especially if you're kind of newer. They have intrinsically, as you see, this weapon fires a small auto-tracking missile. Missiles lock onto targets when aimed. So if you were on a boss like the Ghost of the Deep final boss, if you miss one rocket on like an Apex Predator, then your damage is pretty much pooched. Where I have seen tracking rockets also miss on her because of the way she moves, but for the most part, you're going to have a lot easier time landing your rockets with a precision frame. So yeah, is it optimal? No. But I've made videos on how consistent and reliable DPS is sometimes more important than optimal DPS. So precision frames aren't all that bad. I just wanted to kind of point that out. And then we don't really have, we've got Semiotician from Season of the Witch, but there's not too many good Strand rockets. And this has some really good perks. So I love auto-loading holster on rocket launchers. And I don't think we've ever had auto-loading bipod. I could be wrong, but that is a combination that's really jumping out to me. Reconstruction is obviously very good. Reconstruction bait and switch is the god roll for Apex Predator. So yeah, obviously a very good wombo combo there. But yeah, I kind of like this almost for the utility. So auto-loading bipod, like people kind of sleep on bipod, but it is really strong because those extra reserves, especially for me as more of a solo player, like soloing GMs and stuff, it's nice to always have a rocket when you need it. even though they deal less damage. And you could work this into like some rotations. I'm really thinking of using it with Euphony, the raid exotic from Salvation's Edge, because they're both strand. And yeah, you can just deal a ton of damage with Euphony, and then you could just like shoot off an auto-loaded rocket or a reconstruction rocket with either bait and switch or bipod. I haven't messed with the reverberation at all. Final blows with this weapon increase the size of its detonation, but you can kind of just get bigger detonations just on cluster bomb anyways, or chain reaction if you are using it as an ad clear roll. Impulse amplifier is nice for the addition to reload speed, but air trigger can actually reload. It's kind of like outlaw as long as you jump. So that's also kind of interesting, but again, you don't really want to be jumping with rockets in like a DPS rotation. So yeah, some interesting rolls. Also, Envious Reconstruction is interesting. Like, I don't know how many rockets you could potentially get there. Deconstruct has been nerfed, so I don't know if it's the best play anymore. But yeah, those are the rolls you can get on it. Like I said, some decent rolls, some interesting utility rolls, and some stuff I'd be curious to try out. So those are the 4 weapons that you can farm in the Solstice, again starting today. I hope the video was helpful and informative, and if it was, a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching, take care.